Hello, everybody. Alright, let's see if I can remember how to get this thing all set up properly, as is protocol. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is do a warm-up, because get that wrist all nice and flexible and happy. Alright. So the goal tonight is I need to finish a commission tonight, and it's a black and white portrait commission, so it should be pretty quick. But, first of all, let's get this character art or the warm-up out of the way. So one of the images I've got for a reference is like Captain Hook, or at the very least a Captain Hook look-alike with a, you know, kind of a sickle-looking thing. So that's fun. Legend of the Mystical Ninja? Goodness. Certainly a throwback. So I use OC Remix as my music source, and they do a bunch of, well, remixes of video game music. So, good times. Anybody else have to do those warm-up drawings where it's just basically like blind contour lines? Drove me crazy. Crazier. That's probably a better way to put it, maybe. So on, I want to say Saturday, I did a whole bunch of traditional art, and now my thumb still hurts from that, so that's fun. Oh hey, Ezekiel, your commission is actually what I'm going to be working on in a little bit, believe it or not. Well, this is an interesting song. It's about poop. Who decided to put this in? Who decided to put this into rotation on OC Remix? Who? Who was responsible for the poop music? Time to vote for something. To get it on. It's 2.5 minutes long. Why? Alright. Or rather, there's 2.5 minutes left on the song. Which I'm not sure that's better. Just, yes. Somebody set aside a portion of their day to put this song together. So next time I start feeling bad about a piece of art that I'm working on that perhaps is a little bit weird, I'm going to think about this song. Rawr. I'm a pirate, and I have tentacles for arms. So I was discussing with the partner the other day about how a lot of like prostheses tend to be like just merely replacing the human body part in question. I was thinking, well, why not think about going beyond human body part to be more efficient, like having like a wrist that can go completely 360 degrees around, or you know, things like that, or tentacles for arms, because who doesn't want that? So as I was doing all of my inking on Saturday, which you can see pictures of it on my Instagram, which is my DM Lilith on Instagram, and I post a lot of pictures of cats. Uh, but from time to time I also post pictures of the art I'm working on if it's not under NDA or anything like that. Is digital art for me is like the eternal search for finding the right setup, the right combo to make it feel like I'm working on traditional media. And it keeps getting better year after year, but still not quite there yet. Like, all of my inking on the weekend I did with a paintbrush. Not a pen, not a micron, just a number 2 round paintbrush. And I really, really like how everything turned out. It was nice to have such like immediate command of like line thickness and whether I wanted to like a dry brush effect or what have you. And again, um, digital tools keep getting better, but it's still nothing quite like picking up a bottle of ink and a piece of paper. Right now I'm just kind of I'm trying to get better at showing value in my sketches, which can translate to showing value better in my compositions. So, but I like purple, so we're doing it in purple. And once again, it is thunderstorming on the day that I decide to do streaming, so if my internet drops out, you'll know why. Things go pew pew pew. If you're the type of person who's curious about the tools I'm using Clip Studio, which is kind of become my preferred piece of art software. Although I also do some post stuff in Photoshop, but the brush engine in Clip Studio is so much better than what's in Photoshop. So this is why I use Clip Studio. Plus it's cheaper. I mean, I still have to have Adobe Creative Cloud for a bunch of the other work I do, but for illustrating, this is still the best. Because you can get like the full version of this one for like $300, I think. And you know, Photoshop is, you know, a subscription. Which not everybody is, that's part of their budget. I understand, from what I understand, the Clip Studio is a subscription on the iPad Pro, which I would love to try out. Yeah. Yeah, Clip Studio is pretty darn great. Plus, it has a whole bunch of like built-in comic creation tools, which if you do any sort of like comic book illustration, which again I'd like to get into, it's pretty great because it has like built-in frame tools and that kind of thing. Creepy eyes, that's fun. So one of the things I am working on outside of digital art is I am working on creating pieces for PaizoCon, which is at the end of the month. Trying to get those all done and ready to go. Oh gosh, I have so many things going on. One of the things I was working on today is actually a commission for a friend who asked me to make her a gaming journal. And again, this is traditional crafty work type stuff. And I was working on the gaming journal, but I'm at the point with the gaming journal where I have to let things dry, and I'm just like, I'm in a groove. I want to keep going in the groove, but gotta wait for that paint to dry. Much like Inigo, I hate waiting. Okay. I'm drawing a lot of things with like eyes in it, which is okay. Eyes and teeth. Which, considering I was drawing a bunch of daemons there for a while, it worked out pretty great. So who doesn't like head pats? Pat pat. Let's see, we're using purple, so the opposite of purple is green. So let's not use green, let's use like a yellow or blue. Alright. Also, if I pause in talking, I apologize. Sometimes I just kind of get really kind of hyper-focused on whatever it is I'm working on, so it's kind of hard to break out and use the words. And if you're headed to PaizoCon at the end of the month, I will be doing a seminar on basically how a role-playing game book gets put together, since that is what I do pretty much to pay my bills. It's a lot of fun, but a lot of third-party publishers kind of don't. A lot of gamers don't know all the pieces that go into a particular book. So it's basically a way to, like, here's a design. I'm going to show you how a book gets put together and why we ask for things in certain formats, and here's what happened when you don't put things in that format. Okay, this has kind of gone beyond a warm-up sketch. So we're going to stop it there. Again, warm up. Hey, Minecraft is pretty great when you find a groove and you're like, I'm gonna build this thing. And you're like, I gotta go get the resources for that thing. It's fun. Alright, so again, this is the commission I'm working on tonight for Zakiel. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Ezekiel? Anyway, this is his Pathfinder role-playing game character for the Strange Aeons game. And funnily enough, I actually wrote some stuff for that particular adventure path, so it amuses me to see somebody playing in something I wrote for, so it's always cool. And I am not sorry for anything that might happen to your character, because it's just the way it is. Alright. I came in here for a reason. So I'm checking my email because Ezekiel, yes, had some notes for me on things to change. So I want to make sure that... Okay. So, I was thinking, because Strange Aeons is such a fun game, a fun campaign, I was thinking about doing something like, do like darker hair but with like white streaks at the temples, so I think that might look good. My cat just sat on my to-do list because he is a good kitty and wants me to pet him. Plus, since the character is from Ustalov, I was thinking kind of like that classic, kind of gothy looking appearance would look good. I'm just kind of tinkering around with some brushes to get the kind of look I'm going for with this piece. So you'll see me doing a lot of putting things down and then taking them off, and putting them down and taking them off, and putting them down and taking them off. So I'm kind of looking for a certain flow and opacity, and basically, again, trying to get my digital experience to be as close to my traditional experience as possible. There's nothing quite like the springiness and snap of a traditional paintbrush. And I might just go back to my usual setup for... Oh, come on. Usual setup for the tools that I use. So I kind of want to give this guy a little bit of an older look, because he's seen some things. So if you're not familiar with the Strange Aeons adventure path, you basically wake up in an asylum with no memory of who you were. And through the course of the adventure path, you figure out who you were and who you were working for and all that other fun stuff. And it is a very definitely Lovecraftian themed adventure path. And those are always so fun for everybody's sanity. So yeah, good times. Everybody come out of it perfectly happy, and all their mental faculties are in place. Actually, I think one of my favorite setups for that adventure path is creating... Everybody creates a background for their character and then swaps it with other people in the party. It's probably my favorite variation I've heard of. Yeah, I actually wrote the... I think it was book 3 or book 4. I wrote the Sullen River Gazetteer for the Strange Aeons adventure path. I actually put a shout out to somebody in the Paizo community who had passed away. I put a namesake in there for him. Now, since it's going to be a black and white portrait, this is actually going to be pretty quick to get done. So basically going to do the inks, I'm going to do the tone, and then I'm going to be pretty much done. So I should be able to get it done tonight. You can watch the whole shebang in one go. I just really like the kind of opacity change on this. Oh, there we go. So one of my favorite brush creators is a guy by the name of Ray Frendon, and he's pretty much responsible for why I like Clip Studio so dang much, because he's like basically gone through and like done his best to recreate that feel of traditional media with his brushes, and I adore it. That combined with a line stabilizer app called Lazy Nezumi, which I don't use as much anymore unless I'm having one of those bad days where I just don't have a stable hand, or if I'm drawing like really regular geometric shapes. It's got a bunch of like built-in tools for that I really like. Kind of liking this kind of dry brush effect. Oh, your group was not nice people? Yeah, I have had characters like that. Of course, I've been the GM more often than I've been a player, so definitely fun being the not nice people for a while. I actually was in a Way of the Wicked adventure path, which was a third-party adventure path that was made entirely. It was basically, this is the, if you want to be a bad guy, play this adventure path. And I played a character named Kurza, who was basically a child-eating midwife. And you start out the adventure in prison for your various crimes, and you get and an opportunity arises, and you get to break out of prison, and you figure out who arranged for such things to happen, and thus the beginning of the adventure path. But yeah, she was an Asimar Veneficus witch, which is basically, my words are now poison, archetype for the witch class. And that group ended up being like an all-caster party, which was a lot of fun. Especially because we were all kind of experienced players. And basically, it's like, oh no, we're not doing straight up, bust down the front door kind of fights. That's not how we do. It was basically sneak in, take this place down from within, and watch the place burn down kind of characters. That was a lot of fun. My witch had the child scent ability, which you can get pretty creative in how you want to use it. Hybrids are fun. Are you talking about like deep one hybrids? Because that's fun. Especially in that adventure path. Nothing can go wrong there. So if you look real close, you'll see why I don't necessarily like digital, because I get that hook at like the beginning of a stroke. And it's like, I need a smooth line. Oh, okay. So not a deep one hybrid. Are we talking like kind of hybrid? I want to know now. I swear I'm actually going to like make progress on this painting yet, but I'm just kind of playing around with my options here. That's a nice, good textural brush. Oh, those ones. Ooh, War Priest is fun. War Priest is a fun class. I'm trying to think what my favorite class out of the advanced class guide is. Maybe, oh man, yeah. Oh, so it's like the arcane trickster kind of, or kind of archetype. Um, so who am I drawing? Which one of these classes am I drawing, man? This is the shaman. Right, I just remembered. Which is also a fun class. She did a piece of fan art of the iconic shaman for somebody, the author that wrote her official backstory. The Ghostbuster. He's certainly gonna bust some ghosts in this AP. Busting makes me feel good. Alright, there is a reason that I have these favorite inks. It's because they respond exactly the way I want to. Eldritch Scoundrel. That is an archetype. Is it a magus with some roguey abilities? Oh, okay, the rogue is an Eldritch Scoundrel. Okay, I thought you were talking about the magus. Oh, an all-caster party can be really fun, but you gotta play smart. Because it's really easy to get yourself in a situation where you're suddenly in melee, and that is no place for a caster to be. Although you have Magus, so you're kinda have somebody, kinda. See, then the Way of the Wicked AP that we were in, there was a witch, there was a diabolist, diabolist arcanist, and then there was the necromancer cleric. But he didn't have healing. None of us had healing. So healing was kind of a problem until we got, like, access to wands and whatnot. Yeah, no, War Priest can heal like a boss. Depending on which path they chose. Just not happy with my results here today. Yeah, those are fun though. No, I played my Veneficus, which was like pretty much the debuffer, which is kind of what they're really good at. Especially when you start getting, it's like misfortune, misfortune, misfortune. And Cackle to extend it, and then I got access to Evil Eye, and it was a bloodbath. And that's exactly how we wanted it. Spectral Hammer is a classic spell. It was one of my favorites every time I played a cleric. Kind of right up there with Flame Strike. Flame Strike is a lot of fun. Honestly, I think one of the reasons I like Flame Strike so much is seeing the animation for it in Dungeons & Dragons Online was just really, really satisfying. It's like, see this like little arc circle of like white fire on the ground, and then this pillar of fire, and it was, again, extremely satisfying. Especially if you took the sun domain. I usually do sun and healing, and that is a fantastic combo. So like I was, oh, undead, that's cute. And it was so good. Especially Flame Strike with that half fire, half holy damage. It's like, block that. One of my favorite things to I was just thinking about some of the D&D games I've played in the past, and specifically computer games, and thinking about when I was playing Neverwinter Nights when it first came out on PC. I'm talking like the video game from Atari, and not the old like AOL game. And this is all 3rd edition rules, and it was supremely satisfying, let me tell you, to cast the old school destruction, or no, just old school harm on a dragon, and have the dragon fail both its saving throw and its spell resistance check. Delicious. Dropped a white dragon down to, I think the 3rd edition rules basically say they are left like with 1d4 hit points. And that was, again, really satisfying. And this is after kind of a long, prolonged fight, and I was like getting down to like, oh god, what do I have left? Because I had done like Blade Barrier and all other, you know, stay away kind of spells. And I was like, okay, we'll chance this. Maybe I'll get lucky. And I did! Oh, fun times! So you're going to be rolling on the river. Good times. think one of the best successes with Neverwinter Nights was the fact they had the World Builders tool, the toolkit, so you can create your own adventures, which I always wanted to do. I just never had the time to do it. I think that really helped contribute a lot to its success. Yeah, yeah. That last chapter of the campaign, of the first campaign, was pretty kind of like tedious, is a good word for it. Though I never did finish Neverwinter Nights 2. At the time, the computer was having a hard time running it, and I just never came back to it. I'm sure I still have it somewhere. Oh, fun! Casimir! Good times. Heckin' weird cultists. But what if you were the weird cultist? Dun dun dun! Oh, yeah, that's the important part. It's like, I need new spells. Look, if playing, what is that game? Arkham Horror has taught me anything. Going to the Dreamlands can be very lucrative. I mean, deadly, but very lucrative. What is it, my cat child? It's not your dinner time yet. Don't give me that look. It's gonna lay right there on my mouse pad. That's great, cat. Oops, you're bad? Those are always fun moments. I think my favorite moments are my friend Cosmo call the teacher-teacher moments, where he points out something that the GM may have overlooked, and he usually ends up screwing over the players in some fashion. It's my cheater stubble brush. Okay, it's not really cheating, but because I'm a firm believer if it gets the job done, it's not cheating. Well, obviously, if you're not hurting anybody else in the process. I'll make them look less scruffy here in a bit, but I just want to lay down this texture first. That's just why we have the Ratty Bristle brush, because it's really good at this, turns out. I took a inking and illustration workshop at one point, and he says don't throw away any of your brushes because at any point you may have a use for kind of a really dirty, bristly type of brush. So, and this particular brush captures that kind of feeling perfectly. Okay, you're in a manor, in a study, holed up and about to sleep. Rogue started to flip through Count Lowell's documents and happened to read an exploding groan. Well, the rogue with evasion passes a save. Yeah. that is a fantastic mental image. Explosive runes are sneaky. That's the explosive runes is right up there with this. That's actually a mimics kind of GM tricks. All right, I'm gonna be right back because I need water and I am out. So I'll be right back. You know, I'm almost certain that Rogue Genius Games has put out a book of mimics with strange variations of mimics. And welcome to the chat. I'll see. Ali Hallie. Or maybe that's like an acid spit attack kind of thing. Gross, but effective. Oh, okay. Now I know who you are. Dun dun dun! Look, Smudge, you're gonna have to deal with the fact that I took my seat back. Just deal with it, dude. Smudge is my cat. Or one of my cats, rather. I think my favorite mimic variation I've seen, I think it was on Tumblr somewhere, where the mimic was the ladder in a dungeon, and the ladder was its tongue. Which is just rude. Yes, insidious. That's a good word for it. Now, what if, like, mimics usually do the treasure chest because they're, like, youngins, and they only know, like, the one form. And the older you get, the more forms you can memorize. What I'm saying is not mimics aren't used enough. especially not used enough in like super creative ways. Brawn! It's a Triceratops! Rawr! Thank you for joining us, Triceratops. I am drawing a character that, as a Kale, won in a giveaway I did. So I'm drawing his Pathfinder character. And we're talking about mimics. Yay! Unfortunately, a lot of the commissions I end up working on are like, I can't really say or reveal that I'm working on, so it's like, oh god, it's something I can actually stream. Mimic is a 10-foot pole found in a room with an empty chest. There you go. I mean, there's the one from the meme, which is the table, you know. The table laughed. We smashed it. It was a good time. Good time was had by all. Beer barrel. That would be a fun one. Tree stump, but I think that's covered by the wolf in sheep's clothing creature. Yeah. Somewhere there's a pin that says all my good stuff is under NDA, and I feel that so hard. It's like, who wants to see me stream book design and layout? Woo! Because it's really boring. The stuff that's not boring is like the messy parts, which is like figuring out the design of it. And it's just messy. And related to that fact, I had the stumbling block on this like layout design project I was working on, and I just could not come up with a design I was happy with. And I bust out the sketch pad and paper, and it's like, come out with the design I like in like 5 minutes. I'm like, I just need to remind myself that I think better on paper than I do on the computer. And it's because I think, for me, the computer is like a tool to reach a finished project. I have a hard time just kind of doodling on the computer, which is part of why I do the warm-ups at the start of the stream. I will always think faster and better on a piece of paper until the point that, you know, computers can function like that. Or, you know, peripherals. Oh god, yeah. It's probably why I have so much paper. It's like, this paper gives me ideas. But yeah, I came up with like logo designs and like icon designs I have to come up with, and you know, things like that. It's like, on the computer, forget about it. It's like I can't I can't. There's really no good way to describe it. Yeah, bust out my sketchbook and it's like, oh, I like that. This reminds me, there is a pin from, I forgot her handle is like Gigi Draws, and I think it is it's a picture of like a skull, and it says like died of exposure, and I desperately want that pin. She also has a bisexual pin that I also need for different reasons, but yeah. Yeah, I am in this same boat. It's like I've gotten better at it because I've had to get better at it, but my preference is still for paper sketchbook and some crappy, pencil. Although my partner amusingly referred to my purse as a place where pens go to die. Drop a pencil in there. It's like Godspeed, writing utensil. Godspeed. Possibly related, my purse smells like pencil shavings and bubble gum and like chewing gum. Could possibly be related. I don't really have a purse. I just have like an art supply transportation device that happens to have my wallet in it. And my phone. And my keys. And chapstick since I live in New Mexico now. Now I really want to try iPad Pro and pencil because I've heard that it's close to a traditional drawing sensation and feel as of currently available, and I would like to test that theory. You are not wrong. Although there is another item that I discovered from my partner's mom. It's basically like a saline gel you put on the inside of your nose to help with all the dry air, and boy howdy does that stuff work amazing. Um, but yeah, chapstick and that saline gel is like, you coming to New Mexico? All right, so you're going to want these survival things. And coming to New Mexico was kind of like remembering all those survival tips I had when I lived in Central Oregon, because that's also a high desert. High desert being high elevation and no humidity or moisture to speak of, which is quite the change from, Seattle area, the greater Seattle area. So it's basically like, oh, right, I gotta, make sure to stay moisturized, and I can't, like, absorb moisture from the air anymore. So I actually have to have water. God. Fluids. Sorry about the drinking water noises, but hydration is important. And the warm season is beginning. So we're getting our last few thunderstorms in before You know, no rain for months kind of thing. Yeah, yeah, that sounds familiar. It's a necessary life adaptation and evolutionary adaptation skill when you're living in the Seattle area, trust me. Yes? Which is an entirely different experience from hot and humid, as opposed to temperate and humid. I used to live in Texas, and oof, that was the I'm going to take a shower and dry myself off, or take a shower and this have to take another shower because you're so sticky. Blech. Um, I think probably the thing that's doing me the most good since moving is all the sunshine. It's shocking how much better I feel with all the sunshine. Oh, hot and humid. No. Yeah. My mom still lives in Texas, and it's like every time I go there, it's like I must take time to avoid the sun. Well, not really the sun so much, but the humidity is just. Bleh. I wilt like a delicate flower. See, this is why I like inking, because I can do all these like really, really cool textures that I still haven't figured out a way to do it in color that I like. So, but I can do them in ink. Yeah, I lived for quite a few years in Central Oregon, or as we like to call it, minimum wage with a view.
You ever have that feeling where you're not sure if you're awake or still dreaming?
Yeah, that sounds incredibly accurate, Pride. I actually really, really like the climate in Seattle area. All that uh, ocean moisture. And gorgeous and green. Delightfully temperate. I actually haven't spent too much time in southeastern USA, other than like a couple of stops in an airport, which I don't think really counts. But I do remember being in Charlotte, North Carolina at the airport and just feeling the heat and humidity. And this was like August, so it was extra gross and sticky. But they had barbecue in the airport, and that makes it all better. Yeah, I have no desire to live or even visit, really, that part of the country. It holds no appeal for me. I'm also not a big fan of, like, Las Vegas either. I actually loathe Las Vegas. There's a deep hate for it. Seeps out of the fiber of my being. Yeah, that would be the reason to go to DC. Other than, I want to go to the Smithsonian museums and spend like a solid week exploring all of those. And Peruvian chicken, which I've heard, is it Peruvian chicken that's super good in the DC area? Is that what I'm remembering? Or is it Ecuador? One of those two. Something like that. Actually, one of the things that actually still trips me about the whole eastern seaboard kind of thing is how close everything is together. That just blows my mind, because I've spent, most of my life in the western United States, or Texas, where you can drive for 5 hours and still be in the same state. Oh, good. I'm glad your wallet is screaming at you. That is designed on purpose. So the idea of like driving for 5 hours and going through 3 states is just mind-boggling to me. I can't. It's also interesting moving to a town where car culture is such a huge part of the local lifestyle, because Albuquerque is like, has Route 66, the historical Route 66 going through it. So car culture is a big thing here. Also Chili's. And I'm totally down with the Chili's part. Because chilies are delicious. Much like parfaits. The food. The pepper in particular. As opposed to the dish. I think my favorite dish so far is from a local place that's actually just right around the corner from me, that they serve turkey instead of chicken, because there's a story, like a local story, restaurant story about it. Like the owner was really, really fond of this pet chicken he had, and he just couldn't serve chicken in his restaurant because of it. So instead he serves turkey. And they make like a turkey enchilada that is just so good, especially when if you have it with green chilies. Although I think my second favorite place to eat um, is a local place called Pueblo Harvest. And one of their specialties is they have a menu that focuses on pre-contact food, which is foods before Columbus arrived. Uh, and it is phenomenal. I think my favorite thing I've had there is they had, this wasn't pre-contact, but it was cactus tacos, which were so good, so good. Yeah. The and like the local drive-through has like this Indian fry bread taco dish, which is just basically one large hunk of fry bread. Um, and it's just piled with your meat of choice and beans and lettuce and tomatoes and chili of your choice, and so good. And it's like $8. The food here is so cheap, and I love that. So, my mom is big into, uh, she helps run a powwow group out of San Antonio and that area. So my mom makes really, really good fry bread and really, really good chili. Um, and I visited one time, and I woke up and um, she made like barbacoa the night before. Barbacoa is basically the cheeks. At least the way my mom makes it is the cheeks of the pig. And she had got, and this is the kind of person my mom is. She's like, people will like gift her animals, like to, dismember in exchange for, services, because she also does a lot of beadwork for regalia and that sort of thing. So people pay her in animals, dead ones, usually. Usually. And this was actually javelina, which is, wild feral pigs. So she had made barbacoa from the cheeks of this wild javelina, and I remember sitting in the kitchen just drinking a cup of coffee and homemade fry bread and javelina barbacoa breakfast tacos. So it's pretty amazing. And I have a picture of it somewhere, but her cast iron pan that she uses to make the fry bread somehow managed to make the part of the bread that was fried in the shape of a heart. So I had a heart-shaped homemade fry bread with homemade barbacoa and coffee, and it was the best thing. So it's kind of one of those moments that you just kind of always remember because it just fills you with happiness. Yeah, anytime somebody makes me a dish from their heritage, I'm happy, as long as I'm not allergic to it. Uh, actually, remember one of the. So I lived in England for a number of years because my dad was in the Air Force, and that was one of our stationed locations that we were at. And um, that was also where I like taught myself how to cook and all of the fun stuff, just to help out around the house, kind of thing. So I taught myself how to cook. But one and the Air Force and military branches, you end up getting a lot of kind of multicultural melting pot kind of situations. Or as my friend Joseph Carricker puts it, is we want a gumbo because we want all the flavors distinct yet melding together in a beautiful, beautiful pile. Um, so anyway, a lot of families from a lot of different cultures because, servicemen would marry the local nationals. Um, so like potlucks and like unit get-togethers were always pretty amazing food-wise. Um, but one Easter, we got invited over to one of the other people in my dad's unit to their house for Easter. And I remember playing Castlevania there. That was one of the things I remembered. But this guy's wife was from Greece. And may or not be aware, but Easter is kind of a big deal in Greek Orthodox Church. And she made the traditional Easter dinner like you would. And this is the first time I had ever had lamb. It's the first time I ever had octopus. And my little, I think probably 11-year-old head just kind of exploded. Because it was just so good and so different. And just... Because my dad was not a cook. And my parents had been split it by that point. And my dad was not a cook. It was like, hey, hamburger helper, right? That counts. So going to somebody's house that they had such a had a variety of flavors and spices, it was just a really mind-blowing experience for me. England was also the place I first had kebabs. And tandoori oven kind of thing. And that was back in the days when you could still serve it on newsprint, so I had kebabs and fresh non-wrapped, or I don't know if it was non, but it was a flatbread of some kind. And roasted peppers and the spices and just, so good. Also, the kebab shop was also where my school bus would drive past it every day. And every day we would drive past it, and my taste buds would start to water because I could smell it. And of course, it was the end of the day, so I was already really hungry because dinner time. Ah, yes. I am familiar with that presentation of food. Ugh, the no seasoning makes my heart hurt. What's the joke of white people travel around the world to get spices and then they don't use any of it? Makes my heart hurt. For a lot of reasons. It's but the spices are so good. Speaking of spices, my current favorite is Aleppo pepper. And we have a Penzies, which is one of those things that I found out when we got here to Albuquerque, which is where I'm currently at. And I was really, really pleased to see Penzies because they're a super supportive and very liberal company. And I like to give them my money. Raisins and mac and cheese? What? What atrocity is this? Pride. Yeah. So yeah, I'd like to give Penzies my money, and they have Aleppo pepper, which is delicious and delightful, and it's one of those, it's a good finishing pepper. I wouldn't mix it in with something. I like doing fur textures. This is fun. Yeah, his the owners. I don't know their pronouns. The owners screed uh, against the president is something to behold, in all the right reasons. I'm gonna move this ever so slightly that way. Um, so I read that. I'm like, yes, I shall give you more of my money now. Um, yeah, their Aleppo pepper is so good, and they have like it's like a double vanilla extract, also amazing. I actually also really appreciate that their spice blends are all salt free, so you can salt to taste. It's actually really interesting to go through old cookbooks and see what was, in fashion and vogue at the time. I'm sure somebody's going to do that today and see all the paleo keto stuff today and go, what was going on? Yeah, salt-free blends are amazing. They're so you can get like little, I think it's like 2-ounce jars or an 8-ounce jar, or you could start, really going for it and getting it in like bags and quarter pounds. And I think I have to start getting their bouquet garni blend in the larger amounts, because that is like, we go through that a lot. Yeah, when I lived in Seattle, my other foodie friends and I would make a trip down to World Spice in um, Pike Place, and that place is amazing. They have a spice blend. It's called like Voodoo Spice Blend, and I made a brine with that stuff, with orange juice and brown sugar and one of those like party packs of like drumsticks with that Voodoo Spice blend, and it just turned out so goddamn good. I'm still thinking about it. Yeah, so Pike Place has Market Spice and they have World Spice. Two different stores. Both very amazing. Although I like Market Spice better for their tea blends. Their tea blends are really good. Let me drop my sketch layer. Yeah, Penzies is pretty darn great. So one of my big problems with keto for me is it's kind of really heavily reliant on dairy, and I can't do dairy. It we have a disagreement. Let's just put it that. It's delicious. I just can't have a whole lot of it. And trying to do little to no dairy keto gets very expensive. So yeah. Yeah, it's one of those. Keto sounds fine in practice, but it's just the extremes that it's taken to just seems kind of like, well, extreme. It's just a lot of it sounds like you probably shouldn't do this without a doctor's recommendation. And of course, people don't. Hey, Pride! Hey, Pride! Hey, Pride! Keto! Oh, yeah, I can imagine. I actually have to talk to a nutritionist because, yeah. So, one of the things that New Mexico checks for when you're getting your driver's license is if you have anything that might cause you to lose consciousness at the wheel. Uh, and should you have one of these conditions, you have to go basically get a doctor's note to say, hey, you're okay to drive. And one of the conditions they list is hypoglycemia, which I have. So I have to go to a doctor that I just met, say, hey, can you clear me to drive? Please and thank you. So I can get a New Mexico ID. Please and thank you. Which is annoying. It's incredibly annoying. Because I don't like going to the doctor in the first place. Because too many of my doctor experiences boil down to, well, just lose weight. And fine, yes, I get that. But at the same time, can you please acknowledge that I'm having these issues? Which actually really makes me miss my therapist. God, she was a good therapist. I think she retired. Oh, also, plus she was in an entirely different state. Well, and then also one of the big problems is, and I had to go through this recently, because, you know, again, new state, new doctor, etc., is after a while you start to internalize all the shit that might be going on in your body or what have you. So it was like you no longer know what normal is. It's like you only know you're normal, and then when you point out, you say, oh, you just mention it off passing that this thing is happening, they're like, what? It related to this fact of, you know, trying out a keto diet and, you know, calorie restriction and all that, and trying it out with my partner, and somehow in like the I want to say 4 or 5 years we had been together at that point, I had never mentioned to him that I had hypoglycemia. So calorie restriction diets are very rough for me, and it's not good. Because I can't just like eat, you know, 3 meals a day and nothing else in between. I've tried it, doesn't work. I'm much more a big fan of the smaller meals multiple times per day. That works for me. And I just remember being in tears trying to explain to him, it's like, I can't do this. I cannot eat the way that you eat. You can, you know, go on a calorie restrictive diet and still function. I literally cannot. Yeah, I had a lady doctor one time try to use we'll just lose weight. All these problems you have will go away once you just lose weight. And mind you, she was like this 5'3", super petite woman, and I am not. Let's just leave it at that. And the things I was talking about her with her about was I was trying to get my antidepressants refilled. And it's just like, I just need you to sign this script. Please look at my chart before you just tell me to lose weight. And now go fuck yourself gently with a chainsaw. And I never want to see you again. Yeah. Yeah, there is no one size fits all diet. I wish there was. Like, I have like so it's like I have something with dairy in it. I have a countdown timer of like, okay, I'm going to start feeling the effects of this in 3, 2, 1. But I don't have an allergy. I've tried. I tried to get the allergy. I got the allergy test, and thankfully I'm not allergic to fish. That would make me cry. But yeah, no milk allergies. But I have problems digesting it. Yeah. Exactly. It's like, yeah, I'm overweight, but everything looks good. So go away now. Okay, please tell me why my foot hurts. That's not the first time I've heard people having problems breaking down pork. Um, one of my exes actually, and this is one of the situations where I'm in retrospect I don't know how much of it is true or not, because he was that kind of person. He had pork for like 21 days straight on a fire assignment in Canada because the pork farm burned down, or so he says. But after that, it completely just destroyed his digestive tract, and he just had a terrible time digesting things ever since. I have that problem too. About things that I am allergic to and I love the taste of is I'm allergic to mold. Turns out. I really love, like, sake. I adore, but it is made with a mold. And I really shouldn't have it, but gosh darn, I love it. And I love the super unfiltered stuff, too, because that tastes the best. And I shouldn't have it. Because turns out I like breathing. I wonder if it's a fact because they're omnivores as opposed to, herbivores. It's just how maybe they just store fat differently. Mm-hmm. Oh, chanterelles are amazing. So are morels, for that matter. Nobody else in my immediate family likes mushrooms, so I get to eat all the mushrooms for myself, and I'm really okay with that. Yeah, honestly, the thing I miss the most about cutting out dairy is ice cream. Like, they've only just now started getting non-dairy ice cream alternatives that I like. So if you have any problems with, like, dairy, the Haagen-Dazs and Ben & Jerry's non-dairy ice cream are absolutely phenomenal. So one of my big problems with a lot of the non-dairy stuff, the non-dairy ice cream alternatives, is the mouthfeel is entirely wrong. It just doesn't taste like ice cream. It doesn't feel like ice cream in the mouth, so I can't. It's like, this is not ice cream. This is disgusting. So I just didn't have it for the longest time. Or I would have it and, pay the consequences, because Wendy's Frosties are amazing. I don't care that it's fast food. Um, and they finally got it right. Oh, it's so good. The Ben & Jerry's non-dairy peanut butter and cookies is my current favorite. Um, so yeah. So I'm actually having a hard time finding consistently the non-dairy versions of ice cream here. So it's kind of like, as soon as I find it, it's like, I need to buy like 5. Because the Albertsons, that's like, 2 minutes around the corner from me, doesn't carry them consistently. And it just makes me super sad. I try. So it's like I figured out my limit of how much ice cream I can have in one sitting without having terrible consequences. It is the size of a Snickers ice cream bar. That's my limit. And now they have like Snickers dark ice cream bars, which is even better because I love dark ice cream. And see, that's the other thing, as I refuse to stop eating cheese. And especially because all of my favorite cheeses are the fresh cheeses. Like, mozzarella and brie, and those are my favorite ones, and those are the ones that destroy me the most. And I am not going to stop eating those. It's just one of those things that's like, I'm preparing myself, I'm not going out anywhere, I'm not going on a road trip, so I'm going to have this delicious, triple cream brie. Because life is short. Yeah, I don't eat my ice cream too fast because I kind of want to savor it. Plus, that stuff is also really expensive. Especially if you get the Haagen-Dazs or Ben & Jerry's version, and of course you're paying brand prices. Gosh darn, it's good. Yeah, Talenti stuff is good, but Ben & Jerry's and Haagen-Dazs are like my go-to. And whatever local brand is good. Like, we've got Blue Bunny and Bluebell down here, so that's pretty great. And I will try pretty much any coffee ice cream. Because that's my favorite ice cream flavor is Jamaica Almond Fudge from Baskin Robbins. It's like, it's the right balance of nuts and chocolate and Snoqualmie is really good too. Yeah, Tillamook is always a favorite too. We've had discussions at the grocery store of, look, if like the store brand and Tillamook are the same price, you get the Tillamook cheese. Because that's how it goes. But yeah, no, ice cream is delicious. Although one of the things I really really miss from my childhood is the Jello pudding pops. Jello pudding pops were great. And that's one of those things like I really should be able to figure out how to make this at home. Because it doesn't seem that hard. It's like, is it literally frozen chocolate pudding? Is it? Yeah, no, I get that, Pride, because like the rest of the year, it's like too clingy and cloyy in the mouth, and bleh. Of course, here there are a lot of delicious dessert options, such as churros. The same place that does the fry bread tacos for like $8. Also, they also have churros. So, strawberry filled churro, some sweet tea, and some fried bread tacos. It's good. Yes, sopapillas. That's also good. Although I'm usually too full to get the sopapillas at the end of a meal, especially the place that's just around the corner because they serve sopapillas for dessert. And it's like that sounds like a great idea, but I am full of turkey and cheese. No, they told you no. It's like no, give me my goddamn milkshake. I have a thirst. And it's for a McFlurry. Now that's fair. Sopapillas are really good here. Though again, I would recommend going down to Pueblo Harvest because Pueblo Harvest also has a bakery. Or going to Flying Star. Flying Star has an absolutely delightful bakery. Um, that's actually the local coffee shop that I like to go to. Because you can get like a cup of coffee for like sitting down and you can get free refills for the rest of the time you're there. And that's pretty okay in my book. But they have like ginger cookies. And as my partner likes to say, it's like I would kill a man, a good, decent, hard-working man, for one of their ginger cookies. I have all the places picked out if you ever do make it this way. Because again, Flying Star is my local coffee shop. They also make really, really amazing food. Like during Thanksgiving season, they had what they called their Pilgrim's Feast, which is basically their Thanksgiving dinner dish. But it was like green chili cornbread and sweet potatoes and cranberry chutney and roast chicken and gravy and so good. Yeah, I've been here since July and I still haven't made it to barbecue on a regular basis, and that just seems silly. So my recommendation is go during like December, and it still might be above 55. Although at night it still gets really darn cold. Actually, one of the things I actually really like about Albuquerque is I'm in the land of proper thunderstorms again. Because in Seattle area, you don't get like those thunderstorms that roll in and you can see from miles away. Here, it's so open, you can see them roll in and then roll out. Yeah, no, air conditioning is a must here. In the Seattle area, you're lucky to get air conditioning, but you only need it for like 2 weeks out of the year, and then it's fine. Unless you're my partner and you need it all the time. you and my partner would get along in that regard. It's like it's too hot for clothes. Blah. Whereas as me, it's kind of I am of an age where hot flashes are going to start being a thing. So I'm not looking forward to that. We affectionately call him the Polar Bear Nation. That's how me and my other partner refer to him. Uh, because yeah, because he is like It's not cold enough. Is it not 65? Cool it down. And me, I just like to hibernate. It's just bind me up into a blanket and call me in spring. Yeah, I'm about 68 is usually my preferred temperature. Sometimes. It honestly depends on like airflow. That's usually the bigger problem for me is like, is there an actual breeze moving through here? You're one of those people that wears shorts in the middle of winter, aren't you? So in the Seattle area, um, it was so you have a closet full of hoodies as you're supposed to because you have different hoodies for different seasons. Like uh, in the mid season, you would have like a lighter hoodie. All the fall seasons, you would have the heavier hoodies, the pullovers. Yeah. The house that we had in the Seattle area, we actually had part of the garage was a converted gym, and that part side of the gym was unheated, or that side of the garage was unheated, just so you could work out longer. Yeah, yeah. Layering is the key to survival in the Pacific Northwest. Actually, one of the things I really, really, really would like is some sort of way to automatically apply sunscreen in a nice, even coat. So I'm one of those people that just burns. Like it's like I don't tan. I just implode. Um, so that's the kind of tanner that I am here. And um, sunscreen is kind of essential here. I hate the way sunscreen feels though when you put it on. It just drives me batty. So I was like, I just want like a just walk through an archway like those sanitizer things in the Division, but instead of you know getting rid of a highly infectious disease, it just puts on sunscreen. That's what I want. Like, please to put the sunscreen on, because I hate doing it. Yeah, we joke around the house that I'm solar powered because given the opportunity, I will just sleep. Uh, so I need kind of like that kickstart of uh, sunlight to get me going in the morning. Um, Otherwise, I'll just sleep for hours and hours, and then it's noon, and then I haven't done anything, and then I get mad at myself. So that part's going to be great. I actually have somewhat of a human work schedule instead of this night owl stuff all the time. Which I don't mind, but I would like to spend some time with the family. Yeah, one of my partners he tans up beautifully. He also grew up here. I'm thinking that may have had a factor. Um, but yeah, he's just one of those people that just I'm tan now. I've gotten 2 days of sun. Now I'm tan. Um, so I am in a polyamorous relationship, and when my partners got married, they went to the Bahamas for their honeymoon, and they told me about how intense the sunlight is, and they're like, I got blisters on the soles of my feet from walking around on the pavement. And I'm like, I never want to go here. I would die. That sounds distinctly unpleasant to me. Like, send me to the Northern European cruise line, please and thank you. I'm right there with you, Pride. I'm in that boat of okay, gotta scurry from shadow to shadow. Yeah. Actually, so my partner actually found a cruise that goes to like all the megalith sites in Northern Europe, and like yes, that one. That one sounds great. Let's do that. It's like, perfect! We actually went on an Alaska cruise a couple years ago, and that was pretty great. Because I got to eat a lot of seafood. And that was pretty great. Plus, the boat had like a... you know, it's entirely likely I have some family over in that direction too, Pride. But the cruise had a thermal suite on board the ship. It was basically just like all the saunas, and they had like these heated stone chaise lounges. And after being on deck in that, you know, northwest cold and like in, oh god, what time of year was it? April. It was delightful. Just like, I'm gonna go sweat it out in the saunas, because they had like, you know, traditional dry sauna, and then they had like a Turkish sauna, and that was pretty awesome. Yeah, it's yeah. According to the one of those ancestry things that my mom took, it's yeah. And got that good old Nordic blood, which is not terribly surprising because my grandmother was French Canadian Swiss, so yeah, Swiss, something like that. Yeah, French Canadian Swiss, that part of the world. And it always chaps my ass to see how much I look like her, because we did not get along. So yeah. That side of my family is a lot of German, Dutch, English, Welsh, Swiss, French Canadian, something like that. The good old American Heinz 57. The we didn't keep track of this. We didn't keep track of this because we're Americans now. And then there's like other parts of my mom's side of the family is the Native American, you know, Blackfoot and Iroquois. But you didn't talk about that because you weren't supposed to talk about that. Yeah. And upstanding law-abiding people? Question mark? Or is this a case of cops didn't see it, I didn't do it? It's like, it's interesting to look at, like, my mom's side of the family is like short, stocky, looks like they could bench press you kind of people. And look like super thick forearms. And I've gotten that part of it, thankfully. But there's also like my dad's side, which is the tall Nordic heritage kind of thing going on. Um, so I got my dad's side of the family. I got the height, and I got the blue eyes and the blonde hair and all other stuff. Well, it's brown now, but um, I got all that. But I didn't get the uh, the short side of my mom's family. I got the stockiness though, so it's like my mom and I like compared our like forearms, and it's like we should be bakers because we can have like the thick forearms. And always lament it. Bracelets never fit us. So because everything is made for short wee women, and that is not us. I will clock you with a cast iron pan though. Be good at that. And seeing my mom wield a cast iron pan is a terrifying sight to behold. Also comforting because he's usually not wielding it against me. Yeah, yeah. I have actually broken. I have broken faucet handles in my hands, completely unintentionally. And see, I'm not even that tall. I'm like 5'7". That's how tall I am. Just stocky. Pretty much, yeah. Northern European mud. That's kind of how it is. I look at my partner, who is, you know, 6 foot something tall, and was apparently a preemie. It's like, well, apparently things worked out for you. She's 6'11" and 7 feet. God. Oh man, one of the weirdest things I've ever seen is my partner, his brother, and his dad all standing next to each other, and you could see the nose all looked exactly alike, and it's like, well, the apple did not fall far from that tree, did it? It was freak. It was really, really kind of surreal. It's like, whoa. So did you like the sisters look like the mom and the dads look like the brother, or the brother looks like dad? Let's flip that around. That is weird. I remember there was this one moment of rebellious teenage year time. I was like 17, and I was wearing like the big, broomstick skirt, and I had like a headscarf on, and I had a bunch of like hoop earrings and all that other stuff. And my dad just looked at me and says, "You remind me of your mother." And I was like, "Thank you." He didn't find that as funny, unfortunately. Yeah. Yep. It's actually so my mom and my sister, who's technically my half sister, but she's totally my sister, and we all sound alike on the phone. And um, my sister and I have a lot of the same mannerisms, even though we didn't really grow up together. Um, so, yeah. And I was visiting my mom one time, and she was talking to like a family friend, and like noticed like my brother was doing a thing, and she was doing a thing, and my sister was doing a thing, and I was doing a thing, and all of a sudden my mom was like, "What if it's me? What if that link is me?" And it's like, yeah, yes, mom. I often think about like if my mom had been afforded a lot of the same opportunities that a lot of young women these days have the chance to take part in. What kind of it's like? How would my mom's life been different? Because it's like uh, my mom looks like she would be not out of place in some parody episode of involving rednecks kind of thing. That's what my mom looks like. Um, but she's smarter than she gives herself credit for. She's a voracious reader, and I often wonder if what opportunities she would have, even now, really. She's, yeah. In case you haven't figured out, I look up quite a bit to my mom. Yeah. Yeah, my mom was one of those people that she's always tried to be like an active participant in her kids' lives, like figuring out, finding out the things they like and like learning about it herself or playing along or um, like my mom would get us Magic the Gathering cards based on solely on the fact that she liked the art, and then we taught her to play, and then she kicked her ass. And I kind of wish everybody had that same kind of parent in their life. Like, so my sister is a big, anime fan, and my mom would she would watch the anime to make sure that it was, age appropriate kind of stuff before she let my sister see it. My mom actually painted because my sister was big into Bleach for the longest time, and still is really. And my mom painted like a mural from a location in Bleach on my sister's bedroom. wall because she's also super artistic and creative. Yeah, she painted a Hueco Mundo from Bleach series, if you're familiar with it, with Kenpachi on the wall. And my mom is one of those people that if you take her to a flea market, she will find the most obscure, bizarre shit. Like, she found Ichigo's sword from Bleach at a flea market. She found, like, ninja tabi socks, or, like, shark suit gloves, or... She finds the weirdest shit. And she just has that talent. Um, so, along with the mural of Mundo on my sister's wall, there's also like Ichigo's sword and Kenpachi and all that kind of stuff. Alright, I think I might be done. I think I want to add a bit of a highlight to the hair. Make it not quite so dull. Alright. Azakale, your commission is done. Hooray! Woo! Zoom it in so you can see it nice and big. I want to thank everybody for stopping by the stream. I super appreciate it. It was nice chatting with y'all, but my throat is dying, and I'm going to relax for the rest of the night. So I will send this to you shortly as a kale that you can use for whatever you want to. Let's see, trying to switch. Ooh, credits. Roll credits! Thank you everybody for stopping by. It was nice to have some new people in here, and I, again, super appreciate you guys stopping in, and I will probably be back on Wednesday for another stream. It depends on if I get information back from another commission, so we shall see. But take care and be good to each other. Bye!